Hey guys, welcome back to Craftsmanship. My name is Dustin. Today in the shop, I'm going to be restoring this beautiful Wilton Bullet vise. Now, this belonged to my wife's grandfather, and he used it and loved it for many, many years. And unfortunately, last year he passed away, and it was gifted to me. So I'm going to restore it and put it back into use. There's the front jaw. The nice thing about Wilton Bullet vises is that underneath this jaw, there's the pin that slides it inside, and on that is a date. So this one has the date of 6/30/59. So this was finished on June 30th, 1959. I know the exact date that it was made. Now, these are pretty sweet. These are brass soft jaws that are from Wilton directly. So this is something that my wife's grandfather George would have gotten maybe at the same time he bought the vise, maybe later. But when you buy these, they come straight, and you can still get these from Wilton, which is pretty cool. These would come straight out, and you would put it on the face of your vise, and then you hammer it down and around to be a custom fit on your vise. These are pretty cool, and they'll definitely be used. Well, there you have, everything is apart, and it's beautifully simple. I love these old designs. Really just the bare minimum of things that will last you forever. Really simple parts, but they do the job perfectly. There are a few things that I'm not taking apart. The back of this has the screw housing inside. That does all come apart, but I'm not going to pull it apart. It's not necessary. I'm not doing a museum restoration on this. I'm doing a user restoration. So I'm going to take everything over the wire wheel and clean everything up, get all the rust and old paint off before we move on to the next step. I think I may have said earlier that these were brass jaws, but these are definitely solid copper, or at least copper jaws. As I was wire wheeling them, I saw this kind of dark reddish, color, which is definitely copper, not brass. Brass would be much more bright yellow, and I looked it up, and sure enough, they're copper jaws. They're great. Where'd that go? The wire wheel just grabbed and tossed one of the three little screws. Now, fortunately, they're just screws. I can match it later, but I don't want to. I couldn't hear it. Usually when you drop things, you listen for the clink, 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 but I couldn't hear it because the wire wheel's on. May end up being a sacrifice to the shop gods, like all the other little screws when we drop. We'll see if it pops up somehow. I'll keep my eye out for it, but for now I'm just going to keep on going. And it's a Phillips head, so it's not like something super rare or super specific to that. I can match it, put another one in. Now, this is the last piece that we need to clean up on the wire wheel, and it's the main body of the vise. This has all the original paint color on it, which I love. This is a color called Hospital Green. Originally, Wilton used a cool gray color, and then in the 50s, they switched to this color, this Hospital Green. And then sometime in the 70s or 80s, they switched over to the kind of gray blue, which is what they use now. But I love this color, and I've done a little research, and I found a few different companies that offer a similar color to this. But for now, we do need to remove all the paint, all the dirt and everything, and get it cleaned up so that way it's ready for primer and ready for the new paint. Getting a quick picture of this sticker that's on here, and before I grind it off, do a little research and see if I can find what it is, where it's from. Five-year guarantee. It matches the date stamp and the guarantee on the bottom. And some pretty good detail of what's there. Now there's this kind of red band across the bottom, and then black across the top, and in the black in gold it says, what I'm thinking was 5-year guarantee with a gold border. I'm assuming that there may be something in the red that we can't see. We'll see if we can find that sticker and purchase one, or maybe we can replicate it. Whew. Well, that was a workout for the last 3 hours. Did all the smaller pieces first, and then when I got to the last 2 pieces, I realized that these are a little heavier than I would normally be wire wheeling. And I was about halfway done this when I was thinking to myself, Dustin, what would be an easier way to do this? And I thought paint stripper would have been an easier way, but it was too late. I was most of the way done, so I finished it all the way up. There's a few spots where there's a little bit of paint left over, but that's all fine. Everything's cleaned up and ready to be primed and painted after we prep it all, and we'll do that tomorrow. The same way that I use acetone to remove oils on blades and things when I'm making knives, I'm do the same thing here, use acetone to clean off the surface. Just it'll get all the rust and dirt off, but it'll also get any oils and anything that is left behind will clean off. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that this was from June 30th, 1959. That date on here, because right above it, it has the words GUAREXP. So that's saying that the guarantee, which is a 5-year guarantee on this vise, expires on June 30th, 1959, which means that this vise was from the first half of the year of 1954, right? So 5 years before that. So for everyone who was ready to throw a comment into the comments below telling me how I was wrong about the date, I want to make sure that I corrected myself in the video. Tearing. just like plug it in directly. Yeah. This is Rustoleum clean metal primer. So this is designed specifically to adhere to clean metal. Can even be used with metal that actually has a little bit of rust left over it, or old paint. So it actually is designed to like bite into that. So this will be really good. We'll prime with this first, one coat. It's probably about 45 degrees out right now, which is not ideal for spraying. You want to be above 50, but this will be fine. It'll go on, it'll set that first coat, and then I'll come back up and I'll do my color coats, do a couple of those, and then I'll move them downstairs into the shop to dry completely. Some of these pieces are not going to get painted, but I also want to prevent them from rusting. Like the two adjustment knobs, these tighten down the swivel base, as well as the main screw and the handle. And then the retention ring, this keeps the whole thing together. I'm going to cold blue these because I think they would look really nice with a real dark patina, and that'll also add to that rust prevention. While I'm cleaning these up, I was thinking I might take this over to the vise and straighten up this little kink in here to get it back to straight, but I kind of like the history of it, right? It has some history here. George was probably using this one time and really cranked down on it and bent it a little bit, or he was a mechanic, did a lot of metal stuff, so he probably like used a cheater bar or something to really crank down to hold something tight, and probably bent it and probably took it off and straightened it himself. So the fact that it has this little bit of wave to it, it's not impeding the movement of this at all. And I kind of like the history, so I'm going to leave it. The directions for this say to dunk it or wash it off with clean water, cold water, and then dry it. So I'm going to do that, and it suggests you do it after about a minute, and then if you want to go darker, you can do another application. So I'll clean these all off, and then I'll do the handle. This color is Rustoleum 2X Ultra Cover. This is the gloss sage green, and from the research that I've done, like I said, this is kind of the closest, one of the closest colors to that original green. First coat's pretty thin. I'll do probably 2 or 3 more coats over the next day or 2, and we'll start putting it all back together. These turned out really nice. I'm really happy with this. I did 5 coats of the paint, and I really like the surface. I really like the color. I'm really happy with the paint. So let's go ahead and pull off all the tape, start putting everything back together. So let's see this there. Looks symmetrical. Yep, that's right. That goes like that. Yeah. Before I put the rest of this together, I'm going to put a little bit of lithium grease inside the main lead screw housing. So I'll just put some here and we'll screw it together, and that'll work its way all the way up and down the threads. Not a ton, just enough to kind of keep it moving freely. Oh, that's so pretty. It has jewels on. I'm very happy with this. Now, the last thing we do before we install this is we want to paint the words. So Wilton and Chicago are going to be black, and the USA is going to be red, white, and blue. My wife really wanted to paint them, so I'm going to have her come down and take care of that. And while she's doing that, I'm going to wire wheel and clean up these bolts, and these are all the original bolts that held this vise onto George's table in his shop.
I think I should maybe go more off to the sides, like not just the surface. Make it a little wider.
I don't know. Maybe do the Chicago first, and we'll see how it looks together. Okay. Chicago. Good?
Thank you.
Yeah. Just these on top. Yeah, maybe the blue could be a little brighter. So it's going to have the green behind it, so it'll already have like some warmth coming through probably. So we want probably cooler.
That's going to be more purpley, the ultramarine.
Yeah, it's going to have more red to it.
Oh yeah, that's
It's too light.
no good.
Ooh-wee. All right, now the Yost vise has served its purpose really well here in the shop. It's done everything I've asked it to do, but it's time to be moved out of here to a new home, and the Wilton is going to take its place as the primary vise. Now for the last touch. This is the reproduction of the 5-year guarantee sticker, which we'll put on. There it goes. Now, 1.5 stickers up, level left to right. Get one try at this, like that. Ooh-wee. I was just waiting for like the tape to peel off the sticker. That looks great. By manufacturer, if not abused. Well, here it is in place, and I could not be happier with the way this turned out. I absolutely love the color. I love the blackened elements, and I really like the juxtaposition of some of these older things like the copper jaws with the kind of markings from the history, as well as the little bits of things that have happened to it over the years, like the bent handles. I think that's a really cool nod to where it came from, and I know George would be really happy with the way this turned out, and I know he's smiling down on me from above. I also want to thank my mother-in-law for trusting me with this and giving this to me. It's going to get a lot of use and a lot of love in my shop, so I could not be happier with that. Make sure you guys don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out our podcast, the Art of Craftsmanship podcast. We talk to really cool guests, and we do a lot of behind-the-scenes talk and things like this we've been talking about for a while on the podcast. So if you want to hear some of that stuff, check out the podcast, Art of Craftsmanship podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.